Alright, so today we're going to take a plant that I have inside, that I've been babying inside, and we're going to put it outside. This is actually the third plant I'm putting outside. My other two failed. So I took those directly out of the hydroponic solution. My dog's making noise. I took those other two plants directly out of the DWC hydroponic starting chambers that I have, and I put those directly outside, and the roots, they never transformed over. So to clarify, different growing systems have different roots, and when you're growing in soil, your roots absorb water and moisture differently than plants that are grown in water like mine, DWC. So we have here two examples. The plant on the left was a plant that I took out of the DWC system, and the roots just really never took off. Today, I just picked it up, and I can see the roots, they're like browning, and they didn't start to expand at all. So this plant, I'm gonna toss this. 1 second. That plant's gone. I'll give it another shot, but actually I have 3 cones right here. They look a little sad right now, but once the roots take, they'll be fine. So I'm starting these in soil-like conditions because I've been having issues with converting roots from a water DWC system to soil. So when I start in soil, they'll be good in soil from once they root. So these have about 2 or 3 more weeks to root. They're looking a little droopy, but once they root, they'll be fine. As long as these don't dry up and shrivel like the plant that I just showed you, they'll probably still be able to recover. And if you look up here, this is actually not a weed plant, but it's a I wouldn't say exotic plant, but it's known as a superfood. It's called, depending where you're from, you might call it amaranth. I think it's also called Chinese spinach, but a different variety with red leaves, but it's still the same species. And if you're Jamaican, you call it kawaru. So I'm Jamaican, my family's Jamaican, and I took some cones off of some kawaru plants that I have. Oh. Sorry, my dog is being aggressive. And this rooted within 3 days. Look at these roots. This rooted so fast. This isn't the 3rd day now, but it's like it's over a week at this point. I think like 8 days. And yep, this plant just roots so strong, and I'm gonna have plenty of that to grow in my garden. But anyway, back to the weed plants. Alright, so over here, this is another plant that I took out of the DWC cloner and put into a soil like. It's not soil, it's actually coconut husk. It's this stuff here, it's called coco coir, which is actually ground up coconut husk, and they turn it into a soil-like medium. I mix it with perlite and vermiculite. So there's no nutrients in this soil whatsoever. I feed it the same hydroponic nutrients that I showed you guys with my DWC system. And this is how I originally grew. So when I first started the DWC system, I started with coco coir, but then I moved on to DWC as my building skills got better, and I was able to make those containers myself. But yeah, so this is a plant that's going to go outside. If you can tell, lovely branching. I've been pruning this plant, making it branch out as much as possible. The container I have outside is pretty big. I have zip ties all around it, so I can train it exactly like my indoor plants. Alright, so let's take this outside. Alright, so we're back outside. Now we're going to put the plant that we just took out of that grow box into this outside grow container. So inside here, I have a mix. It's pretty much a container mix with peat moss, perlite, vermiculite, compost, blood meal, and bone meal. So I'm going to see how well this organic mix does for me. And towards the end, if it needs a little bit more nutrients, I might give it some fish fertilizer. But yeah, this is my outside organic grow. Indoors, I do hydroponics. Outdoors, it actually comes out cheaper for me with buying the compost in bulk. I bought a 1 cubic yard of compost for $48. So yep, and that does the majority of the feeding for all the plants. Indoors, I don't want to invite pests indoors, so I strictly stick with hydroponics. I don't have any pest issues whatsoever. Alright, so here's the plant. You're just going to put your hands at the base, flip off the container. You want to break it up a tad bit. So my mixture for this is very loose, so you don't really have to do too much. Just shake it up a little, shake up the root ball. You don't want the roots to be condensed. You want them to be loose so they start growing quickly. Yeah, I'm rough with my plants, but I've been around them long enough to know how rough to be. Alright, so now you see plenty of loose roots, and not everything's into a ball. Drop it down nicely, and we're going to take the soil and fill it in. And then we're going to give things a good pat. Push down around that root ball. You don't want loose soil to be floating up. Okay. Pause it. I just put the plant into the bucket and patted everything down. Now I have the hose. I'm going to water it away, water it in. Making sure I get everything nice and saturated, but you don't have to overdo it because the roots have not extended very far. Oh, so in outdoors, I originally had this plant in a different area for better security. If you really want to give your plant full sun, my dog's going crazy right now, but you want to give your plant as much full sun as possible. So I moved this entire container to an area where it does get full sun away from my house. The house creates shadows and whatnot. As far as security, I am going to be buying a bug protection bag. My girlfriend already has one for her plant. It looks great. It's huge, so the plant's going to definitely be able to grow into full size. So once I get that, I think I'll be safe as far as breathing security, bug pests, and animal pests. I don't think deer will try to eat through the netting. I might be wrong, and if I am, I've learned from that mistake then. So we'll see how this goes. This is still going to be flowering outside. If you see along the edges here, I have zip ties all along the edges. Like I said, I'm going to be training this plant the same way that I train my indoor plants, with zip ties and tying the branches down. So once these branches get strong, you zip tie them, the baby branches grow up, and you have more things to zip tie. Yeah, so this plant's going to be nice and full. I expect a good return on this unless someone steals it. But tricks on them. I'm putting a tracking device on this. Someone steals it,